I'm I'm hearing a voice, and it says, "I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to order. My name is Tristan Miller." Ooh, eesh. The Saucy Sleuth? Does that sound
Yeah.
like correct to anyone?
I mean, it sounds like what had been said in the past.
I'm sensing other people on this call as well.
I'm Melissa Meli, the spy.
I don't hear anything. I think you're a fake. I'm Tyler Riley, Captain ACAB.
Captain ACAB, indeed. So today's show is brought to you by the fact that we decided to do the show again.
Hi.
Oh yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. Surprise indeed. And I'll say this. I mean, I'm gonna give a little bit of background about kind of what happened. Number one, we all got very busy. Number two, I went to another country for half a year, and at one point they were like, Tyler and Melissa being they were like, "Do you want to record?" And I was like, I kind of don't think I'll have the time, and I didn't. So I went to beautiful Aotearoa in New Zealand for 6 months, toured my comedy there, and now I'm back. I'm back in New York, baby.
It was a whole lot of stuff that happened just all at once, and none of us kind of saw it coming, I don't think. And so we didn't like intentionally disappear off the face of the earth. We just it just kind of happened.
I mean, I tried. I went to New Zealand.
You did.
That's as far as away from anyone as you could get.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
And Tyler is just gonna leave it
hanging.
As a mystery.
Yeah. I was busy.
Yeah, we were all very busy.
Y'all can check my Instagram. Like,
yes,
y'all
Tyler,
can catch up. Like,
that's
we
true.
don't need to get into all that. I was booked and busy.
Booked and busy and blessed? Question mark.
I'm happy to. I thought you were going black for whatever reason.
Well,
and I was like, always, but
yeah, there would be no question mark on that, Tyler. You made your stance on that issue very clear. But today we're going to be talking about A Haunting in Venice, the latest installment in the Kenneth Branagh Poirot canon.
Kenneth Branagh did a movie and brought us back from the dead.
Yeah, pretty much. No, that's very good. I like that. It's very true.
Thanks. I just thought of it just now. Every once in a while, I get one.
The spirit moves you. It comes upon you.
That's right. By the way, if I sound a little funny, it's because I'm getting over a head cold and it's still very much in my head. So that's what that is.
I'm happy it's on your knees.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
If I sound funny, it's because I'm a professional comedian.
I thought about not laughing at that, and then
I'm honestly, you paused perfectly long enough, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm just happy to be back. Everything's funny today.
Good.
I'm sure we'll challenge
this movie.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh. I think it got some pretty good laughs, honestly.
Yeah. There was some wacky stuff.
It got some unintentional laughs, I think. We'll get into it as we recap.
As we recount the plot. Oh, God, I forgot what a headache this thing is. Like, it's so nice to talk to you and watch a movie with you, and but thinking about what I just saw, we just watched it. We watched it over Hulu.com. The credits rolled nigh, but 5 minutes ago, and I can't tell you what happened.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm just like, I can't. There's so much doo-doo in my mind lately that I can't focus in. So
yeah, because what we really want to talk to you about is birds.
Bees.
A kind of creepy child, and other various stuff like that.
Okay, ain't nothing kinda about it.
Yeah, no.
That child was creepy.
Okay.
He reminded me of if the kid from A Christmas Story that has the
Ralphie.
the gear? No, the kid that has the headgear, and Ralphie got fused together.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But yes, so not no, but yes, and this also the other thing.
Great.
Very
He
creepy.
is called precocious in the movie.
Mhm.
Have you ever met a postcocious child?
Yes, I have.
What was that like? Please.
Can I tell you? Didn't get a lot out of him. Very quiet. Didn't communicate well with adults at all. You know.
Did any of you get called precocious?
I'm a precocious adult. What are you talking about? Yeah, of course. Actually, no, I was quite shy growing up.
Not to my knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Constantly.
Yeah, it's because you're an only child, Melissa.
Yeah, that's right.
It's because when you socialize mostly with just adults, you become the precocity knows no bounds.
They're like, oh, this child is good at talking to adults and is kind of smart, precocious.
Yeah. So this movie,
right?
We are in 1947.
Okay, great.
And Poirot is retired.
He's retired. Before the movie starts, the 20th Century Fox logo comes up.
Oh, okay.
And I had a question for you. Yeah. I have it written down in my notes. I said, what studio logo is your favorite?
Okay, great.
Tyler. Melissa. Either one of
20th Century Fox. You don't think about the logos really. Oh no, lies. I like is it TriStar that has the horse?
Yes.
Like the Pegasus looking.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, that's a good one.
Melissa.
You know I like Disney.
Oh.
With the castle.
The castle.
Iconic.
It is. It's iconic. The MGM when it used to be with the lion was very good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it came out and roared.
Yeah. I think Universal. I love that. It's a banger. It goes off. I love it. I get excited. I have a soft spot for 20th Century Fox just because I watched Star Wars so much growing up. But other good contenders are I think those are the main two. You get some pretty odd ones now, because all of the studios are so small.
Yeah.
So you get like truly some random ones. Like my favorite, we'll talk about Poirot in a minute, I swear. My favorite thing is that when The Hobbit came out, those films, since the rights were caught up between like 3 or 4 studios, that New Line Cinema came up, Warner Brothers came up, MGM came up. I think also TriStar came up. Then Wingnut Productions, which is Sir Peter Jackson's thing. Oh. And so it was like, that was longer than the whole movie, it felt to me.
That is funny when it's just one after the other. Yeah. I've seen a lot of that recently too.
Yeah. How it's crazy is seeing Apple coming up in front of Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh.
Yeah, because they produced that one, but it was distributed by... Anyway, so we're in 1947 Venice, and Poirot's retired gardening. He looks so good gardening.
He's got his overalls. Coveralls? Yes. Are we
cover.
Cover?
You say cover?
I would say cover.
What's the difference?
Overalls?
Did he have straps?
Yeah, I
thought it was more... Okay.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, I don't feel like I saw the straps. That's why I was saying coveralls.
Okay.
If there were straps, then that would be overalls.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. So the coveralls have sleeves?
Yeah.
Yes, because they cover all of you.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah, like Michael Myers. That's...
Yeah.
Yes, in Halloween.
Yes.
Speaking of Halloween.
Oh, my God.
It's Halloween.
It is in Venice.
And on Halloween morn, we are greeted by Poirot's old frenemy, I guess, Ariadne Oliver.
Yes.
Who, well, before we even get into that, like we have like this over credits WWE-esque opening credits where like people are getting clotheslined and like thrown off of bridges, and I'm like, okay.
Because Poirot is retired, he's hired a bodyguard to make sure that no one bothers him because he is retired. Gosh darn it. And he's never going to go back.
People just come up to him on the street saying, oh no, my brother's missing. Ugh.
Now,
I mean, that happens to me too, but I just keep it pressing.
And that is what Poirot finally is doing too, taking a page out of Tyler Riley's handbook.
Let that be a quote. Like, I need that somewhere.
I have a question.
Okay.
Which is, how do you two feel about the mustache being back?
I mean, it needs to be there, I feel.
Okay. Because like in Death in the Nile, the kind of his whole character arc is like, I don't need to have a mustache to cover up the wounds of my past. And so he shaves at the end, remember?
Oh, yeah. I feel like he just...
Oh, no, I did not remember because I try not to remember that movie, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
You know what? More power to you.
I didn't remember that either, but now that you mention it, yes. So... I think that Kenneth Branagh, if he remembered that, which is possible that he didn't, because also that movie was supposed to come out in like 2019, but actually ended up coming out in 2021 or 22.
That is correct.
So
yeah.
Who remembers that? Maybe not Kenneth Branagh.
Can I tell you? Me. Every beat of that movie is seared into my brain due to my absolute loathing of it.
Got it. Okay. I see.
I'm so sorry.
I know. It's truly a curse.
But yes, you know what? I don't care. The mustache can be back.
Okay.
He had a day. Poirot had a day without the mustache and was like, ooh, that's right.
Because if you recall, he literally, admittedly, that was the last thing we recorded together, and that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you recall, like the reason he grew out the mustache is because he has a literal like scar on his lip from shrapnel in World War I.
Yes.
And so like it was meant to symbolize, because that was so confusing about the end. I was like, oh, well, then he's not making another Poirot because he's, Poirot solved his idiosyncrasies, but no, he's back at it again, mustaches and anxious as ever.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for remembering that, because we did not.
Well, you're welcome, and hopefully now that I've said it to you two, I can forget it.
I hope so. I hope you're free.
Yes. Poirot's bodyguard is an ex-police officer named Vitali. And he is the one that alerts Poirot to Ms. Oliver's visitation.
Yeah.
So she invites Poirot to attend this Halloween party for children and a seance
already
at
weird.
the palazzo of a famed opera singer named Rowena Drake.
Yes.
Apparently, Oliver had attended a previous seance at this house.
She had attended a previous seance by this person, and she knew that this medium was going to be at this place. So she's like, Poirot, let me prove to you that God is real.
Joyce Reynolds is an army nurse who has become a medium. Says that she's communing with the spirits. They're speaking to her. She was in prison. But now she's been released. Was she in prison? Did I make that up? Anyway.
I think you made that up.
I didn't remember that, but I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about the introduction of her character. I was like, oh, she's getting out of prison. She just got out of prison. I think maybe that was just in my brain. Okay. Cool.
But speaking of her entrance real quick, and she's played by Michelle Yeoh. That entrance, that opening shot of her, 10 out of 10, no notes.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
What was it? I think
the cloak and the mask and like
Oh yeah, the playback was jumbled on my end for that. Stupid Hulu.
Yeah, but it was a big long cloak and a very dramatic mask. Yeah, it was. And then mask off, revealing Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh. So
yes,
no notes there, absolutely. But yeah, so basically she says, Poirot, you gotta come along, you gotta expose this person. I cannot figure it out. Maybe you can figure it out for me. And he says, I guess so, fine. And yeah, I have in my notes, Joyce Reynolds just released from prison. What?
That's so interesting.
I really don't think that
you
happened.
Might not be wrong.
You might not be wrong. That. Yeah. I can't recall.
It's also entirely possible that I did make it up. Yeah. She also, Ariadne Oliver says a wild thing. He offers, Poirot has ordered like tons of pastries. He's the only person that gets through is the pastry delivery person, which
twice a day. Yeah.
Twice a day. And he offers her some pastries. And he has this cute little setup on the roof with like a little pergola up there and some tables and chairs. And offers her some, and she says, oh no, I couldn't possibly, I only eat apples before dinner.
An icon.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
okay.
As someone who is like chowed down on like 3 apples in one day just because that's what I had on hand. Yeah. It rules.
I'm not disputing like apples are great. Like, but I'm also going to eat other things, including apples in a pastry.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I tell you, as someone who has celiac disease, the amount of pastries I can no longer have is infuriating. I think about donuts at least 3 times a day, and I simply can't have one.
Oh, Tristan, I'm going to figure out how to make you some gluten-free stuff.
Thank you. I mean, and we just experienced American Thanksgiving. I was going to say, yeah, we experienced it. Some of us celebrated it. Most of us just experienced it. If we're being real, it was a weird year. But thinking about apple pie, I love apple pie so much.
Okay.
Oh, I feel like that's definitely something you can find like a gluten-free crust on. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I tried to make gluten-free choux pastry, and that was the first gluten-free thing I tried to make.
What is choux pastry?
That sounds like a nightmare.
Choux pastry is what is eclairs, cream puffs, all those kinds of things.
Oh, that sounds like it'd be terrible.
Yeah. It was not good. Actually, you know what? I'm going to amend that. It was edible. It didn't taste terrible. It did not puff right. It wasn't the right texture. But I tried. I'm actually pretty good at making regular choux. So I was like, how hard can this be? Turns out very. And there's so many different kinds of gluten-free, but I feel like a pie crust is going to be an easier thing to make.
Yeah, for sure. Because generally the issue with most gluten-free like flour stuff is that it crumbles too much. And if it's like a crumble or a pie, then there you go.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you don't use choux for a cobbler. Interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting. Wild.
Aren't you glad we're doing this again, Tristan?
Can I tell you? It's one of those things that I completely forgot this is what you're like. And it's so pleasant. Because I'm like, what a fun little joke. I just wasn't expecting it. And that's why I was so shocked. You saw my soul leave my body. Not from pain, but from sheer shock. I was like, all right.
Yeah. It actually turns out Tyler is one of the funniest people we know.
Oh, that's good. That's very fun. Okay,
but we have gotten this invitation to the Palazzo, and it is apparently known amongst the people in this area that it is haunted. And not only haunted, but haunted by the scariest thing that a place could be haunted with, and that is children. This Palazzo was formerly an orphanage, and apparently these children were locked up and left to die when the plague happened.
Yes.
And so, I mean,
what the actual?
Yeah, I mean, not what I would do personally.
And
but
you
I
hate
like
kids.
as someone who, yeah, I don't enjoy them, but I do understand the spirits in this instance because I mean that was a pretty effed up thing to have happen to you.
Yeah, truly, how dare they? Yeah. And they put on this horror show of a puppet, shadow puppet thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I made a note about that. Oh, yeah. Who planned this whack ass party for children?
There's even a moment.
Was anyone ever a child at any point? Like, it made no sense to me.
No.
Like, I get it was Halloween, but like, come on.
Yeah.
Even Poirot turns to Ariadne. He goes, will the story not frighten the children? And they're like, and she gives some weak ass response of scary stories make life less scary, which like I understand where she's, but it's boo is what I say to that. But yeah, and then also they do the shadow play, and then they're like, okay, let's eat, and then they're just running around this haunted house.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yes. She was in prison, Melissa.
Oh my
Joyce
goodness.
Reynolds was in prison. I wrote a note because she was jailed under the Witchcraft Act of 1735.
There you go. Okay, thank you. Yes, that's right. Okay. I really thought I made that up.
I am so glad you didn't, and I'm going to try and do a better job at going, yes, I just accept it as fact from you, Melissa. I'm sorry I was so skeptical.
No, it's okay. It's very possible that I could have made it up. Yes, this terrifying puppet show. Just absolutely terrifying. Also, at some point during this party, there's some older kids making out.
Yeah.
And Ariadne Oliver is like sitting next to them on the little like couch thingy, and she hits them and was like, "None alert."
Yeah, she's far cooler than I am.
I
wouldn't let those kids get hit.
I feel like this is almost a response to everyone seeing Death on the Nile and going, way too horny. Ken, you gotta back it up. And he goes, oh, what's the opposite of horny? Kids are the opposite of horny, thank God.
Yeah, that is true. But
yeah, speaking of death and children, Rowena, the lady of the house, hired Joyce Reynolds, the medium, to commune with her daughter, Alicia, who had died, I forget how many years prior, but had died by suicide, as was reported. Oh, sorry, did somebody give me a number?
2 or 3?
Visually? Okay.
I thought 1, so, here's the thing.
Not that long.
It's been
ago.
less than 5 years since Alicia's death. I think we can all agree upon that.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Perfect.
And like, the reason they thought that she killed herself was because of a broken engagement, right?
Yes.
She had this chef boyfriend.
Chef boy, our friend.
Yes. They were going to get married. He broke it off, married some other girl, and she, for like months after he had left her, she was just absolutely inconsolable, seemed to be losing her grip on reality, and then it just deteriorated until she finally tumbled out of the balcony.
Yeah, she yeeted herself off the balcony into the water.
Yes. But she also has this like very terrifying scratch claw mark on her back, which is said to be the mark of the children's vengeance or whatever.
Yes.
Vendetta.
The vendetta. Thank you. Yes. So that's upsetting.
Yes. The children's vendetta is against doctors and nurses who left them, the spirits have a vendetta against the doctors and nurses that left them to rot and die and starve of the plague. And that's the lore. surrounding this haunted house.
So this is kind of a backdoor prequel for V for Vendetta. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I also the masks, the cloaks, everyone's saying Vendetta. I was like, there's something I gotta remember. I can't remember what it is though. I have a question for you too. Do you believe in psychics?
Oh, in psychics?
Yeah.
I believe that they exist.
That there are people who say they're psychics.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
I think no.
No?
I think no.
I mean, I kind of like vacillate on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I do believe in spirits. Not necessarily like ghosts, but like I do believe like there is like certain unexplainable energy, if that makes sense at times. Like whether it's spectral beings or not, but like I do believe like in like I feel like a wackadoo.
No. No. Because I'm gonna come out here full force. Yeah, no, that's real. I think you can definitely key into something that other people can't. I think the speaking for the dead is something that's like I think that's a bit full on, but there's people who are like absolutely touched in some way where you're like that makes sense, that you're like extrasensory in some capacity.
Yes,
like empaths almost. Like
yep.
Yeah.
No, and yes, okay. Let me backpedal a little bit here because I believe in that too. I think that most of the people who are like, I can speak to your dead relative are absolutely committing fraud. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. I also believe in ghosts and or spirits of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. The more I listen to certain podcasts and whatnot talking about people's firsthand experiences, the more I actually believe in it.
For sure.
Especially when it's kids, because kids don't know enough to make stuff up. Like when it's too on the nose.
I also agree that kids are dumb.
There's a psychic in our neighborhood, Melissa, of Astoria, Queens.
Okay.
Over by on Ditmars, over by the thrift store there.
Okay.
And she sits in front of this closed shop and she's smoking a cigarette all the time. And I'm like, at first I was like, come on. And there's like, well, if anyone knows and has weighed the risk, it's gotta be her. She knows.
Yeah.
She's good.
That's right.
But yeah, I believe in ghosts as well. But it does, I mean, I used to do this bit on stage, is like the concept of ghosts do scare me. Not because of like them coming at me or causing me any harm, but the fact that I still have to do shit after I'm dead. Like, come on, man.
Only if you have unfinished business. You know the rules.
And I have ADHD. There's going to be a million things.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm never going to finish that novel. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
But to follow up before we move on to the next bit of plot business, has anyone ever gone to or been interested in like seances?
I've never gone. I'm not interested because I do think it's real and I don't want to get the shit scared out of me.
I have not been to a seance. I think I could be convinced under the right circumstances, but I'm going to say no at the moment because again, sounds a little frightening.
Sounds scary. What about you, Tyler?
Yeah, same. Like back to like previous episodes where we talked about ghosts, and I was like, I believe in them enough to leave.
Yeah. If you try and
actually like I would welcome a seance at a party. Like if I didn't know beforehand, someone was like, let's do this thing while at a party, I would love it because that's my excuse to leave.
Oh.
Here's an old joke that I wrote. If you try and contact a dead pop singer, is that a seance? Yep, there we go. Still got it. I said it was an old joke.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought in fact a renaissance, if you will.
Oh boy.
Good.
So they're at this party, this baddie that can talk to ghosts shows up, and then basically they have a seance once all the kids leave.
At least that. Except for the one kid.
Except for the one kid. Oh, right. We should introduce the cast of characters, eh?
Sure.
Right.
There's the lady of the house, her maid.
Uh-huh.
There's
Olga, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
A doctor who's a family friend, played by star of 50 Shades of Grey, Jamie something or other. Jamie Dornan.
Jamie Dornan. Oh, is that who that is?
That is, yeah. Then there is his son, who looks like the kid from A Christmas Story, Ralphie. It's cursed energy off this child. Then there are other characters that we meet along the way that we should get to.
We also, because Joyce arrives with her assistant as well.
Oh yeah, yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Desdemona,
who is from Hungary.
Yes.
Very fine job acting all these people, I think.
Yeah, I think they do a good job.
But they begin the seance. Speaking of seance, have you seen Dan Aykroyd's introduction of Beyonce and SNL? He goes, Beyonce, like that. It's so funny. It's so good. Anyway, so
that's great.
Yeah. They're at the seance. It starts happening. She has a typewriter that she, isn't touching, but the spirits speak through her and make her type out stuff. The classic, if 1,000 ghosts type through this gal, she'll eventually write Hamlet. Yes, Melissa.
Okay, so I need to talk about these pieces of paper and this typewriter.
Okay.
It's "Are you present?" The ghost types "Y," prints out the entire sheet. It is a colossal waste of paper. One letter per sheet. And this is not in a time where we have like reams of paper, is it?
Well, to be fair, we don't know if we're doing front and back one letter. Not that it makes it better, I know.
maybe they collect it and make papier-mâché masks, and that's where they make her mask out of.
Okay, all right, I accept that.
But yes, you're absolutely correct. I think that's a very funny thing to latch onto. Is like, I think this woman's bad, not because she's a fraud, but because she wastes paper.
So much paper. That's not recycled paper.
It's also one of those things. I think it's probably during a time though where that's not a consideration at all. They're like, oh, there's always forests.
It's 1947. Where does paper even come from?
I know.
Heaven. It just falls.
But based on all of these very wasteful sheets of paper, it seems like they're talking to this ghost girl. What's her name?
Alicia,
because she types an A, so obviously that's got to be her.
Yeah.
And
then also like the doors to the balcony in this room blow open at a point, like as Joyce is channeling the spirits. And then something else happens, like something with like a light.
A light bursts, but also the whoosh happens after Poirot has gone, aha, and he yanks someone from the chimney, and it's one of Joyce's other assistants, and then Joyce goes sicko mode and starts like really channeling it and doing kind of some, frankly, a bit overacting, if you ask me. It's a bit much. Well,
I'm glad I didn't ask because I disagree.
I'm being ironic here. Oh my God.
We do not talk about Michelle Yeoh like that.
But
no, I'm assuming you're meaning the character. Joyce,
yes, she's really tuning the scenery. She's like selling it a little too hard, in my opinion. Because like that's the other thing is, if I was going through a seance and someone did that kind of shit, I'd be like, okay, took viewpoints. I understand. Fine. But she goes whole hog wild, and then the ghost of Alicia speaks through Miss Reynolds, and they did a very clever thing here where they have both Michelle Yeoh and the actress that plays Alicia do a voiceover for this part, and they alternate between the two actors speaking, which is quite cool.
It is cool. It's pretty creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And as this is happening, Joyce is asking Alicia if she was murdered, and then we get another type of the paper, I believe, and with the Y, and then she asks who, and before Alicia can reveal who the murderer was, something happens.
I think that's when the window blows open.
Is that okay?
Yeah, and then everything kind of just stops. Kind of comes to a swell. So I think this is a good opportunity to talk about the camera work in this film. What did you guys think about it?
Very hit and miss.
Yes.
There were some really beautiful moments, and there were very WTF moments. Like,
I agree.
When we first get a shot of Alicia like in the water, like it's super quick, super jarring, and like it's back to the screen like nothing has ever happened. And I'm like, this is, I thought it was very jarring and weird.
Yeah, we get more of Kenneth Branagh like up angles where we're taking like a diagonal sideways view of the scene.
It almost feels like, because he was so hampered by green screen in the last one, he's like, I'm moving a physical camera in this space. He goes crazy with the camera though every time. That's a consistent critique out of all three of these Poirot films, is I don't much care for how they're shot. There's a lot of what used to be called Dutch angles, I don't know, a tilted angle. And then also the lenses, they're always on these really wide lenses, so it kind of looks like a skateboard video. You know, it's these fisheye like things. And there's these, like, what's so confounding about it is that there you have these beautiful shots, the gorgeous shots, fantastic blocking. He's the theater director. You know, there's a wonderful shot later on in the film where they're panning from character to character. It's a POV, and each person's addressing the character, and that's beautiful. And then you have these weird singles all the time with a wide angle lens so close. It feels so uncomfortable. It's probably what he was going for. I just don't agree with it. And there's all this empty space. And I understand why you would put a lot of, what is it called? Negative space. Because in a horror film, you often frame the subject with a lot of negative space to like be like, ooh, something's behind you. I get it. But it just does not fit. But this is all to say, during the accusation where she's like pointing at different people, they do a POV almost and have the camera spinning around this, you know, little table and pointing at everybody. And it's just like a bit full on. I get it, but it's like very flashy in a way that sometimes I just didn't appreciate. But then there are these beautiful wide shots of this gorgeous house in Italy. And I really appreciated those. It looks like something out of like Barry Lyndon or something. These, you know, gorgeous vistas. It's just so confounding because sometimes it's so beautiful. And it also is frustrating, again, because he's a theater director. He should know how to do blocking in a shot where you can have like a double or even three people in a frame. You know what I mean?
But like, how often does he direct theater, and was the last thing he directed on the stage?
True. I don't know. I
think it's been a minute.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I just
but I mean, I hear what you're saying about the circular camera work, but I will say that was probably the scene that held my attention the longest in this movie. And maybe it was because so many things were happening that I was forced to kind of pay attention.
But yeah, I guess I also just have a pet peeve in general where I'm like, singles are really unnecessary. You can generally get it in a two shot.
Wow, rude.
But yeah, I know.
Talking about camera shots.
Yeah, I'm talking about cameras. Yeah, but
all right, interesting.
Yeah, I generally am like, why do a one, you know, only have one person in frame when you can have two? I don't know, but yeah, again, it's I will say they do a lot of really fun cutting to establishing shots of the haunted house. And there's a lot of cutting to like things while other people are talking, like a lot of inserts. And that I really enjoyed. from cinematography and editorial standpoint.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also wanted to bring up something else that happens just before the seance, and I'll make it quick. They find this stuffed, like almost like a sock monkey looking thing, called Baba.
The bunny?
And there's a point where Poirot, it's a bunny? Okay.
Yeah.
He's holding it up in the air and like squeezes it, and the squeak sounded very much like a child's cry. Yeah. And I don't know if that was like purposeful or if anybody else disagreed with my assessment of the sound.
No, it absolutely sounds like that, and it's meant to be creepy, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which leads me to say this. I really loved how horrific this film is. How do you guys feel?
I just think it's a horrific film, but we'll get to this.
Oh, okay.
Right. But okay. What do you let me say this another way, Tyler? How do you feel about the horror influence on the film we have just seen?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I thought it was really fun. Like I think that like the ghost, the creepiness factor, because I wouldn't call it horror. I would call it.
Go ahead.
I would call it more creepy.
Okay. There's a couple of jump scares.
When? Well, we'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, there's like 2 or 3 jump scares in this movie. It was released on Halloween. It's fine. I really enjoyed it.
I didn't jump and I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
Well,
I enjoyed it, but that wasn't the vibe for me.
Okay. I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed the setting and the tone of it being a little different. I do enjoy the fact that he does swing, and the tones of all these 3 films that he's made are different due to setting and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can really give you some clear preferences. As is the case with me.
That's true. So the seance happens, then they're wrapping that up, and then Michelle Yeoh talks to Kenneth Branagh, and it's kind of like, you and I are not so different, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where she's like, you see things and the dead follow you, and I am the same way. And he goes, you're full of crap. And she goes, well, fine. And then she for some reason, he lets this happen. She drapes her cloak over him and puts on the mask that she arrived in. And she's basically like, lighten up, have a good time, go crazy. It's a party. Come on. And then she like kind of walks away. She's kind of flirtatious. And then she like does a little wave. And then she walks out of frame and out of the picture.
So then he walks into a room where there's like a million apples and bobbing for apples is set up. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right.
Because you know how you play at a children's party? You put one single pail of apples in a closet. And that's what the children do.
Okay. I gotta say, have you all ever played bobbing for apples before?
I have.
Yeah.
Okay, I have. In your experience, have you ever, as Kenneth Branagh has, used your tongue to try and grab an apple?
Yes.
Really?
No.
Yes, I have, to get to the stem to pull it out easier.
That's fascinating technique. Melissa, I assume you, like me, just bite into it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No, my mouth is not big enough for that. Well, at the age that I was bobbing for apples.
Oh, that's so. But we get this shot that's like, because it's a bowl. The bowl is transparent, so we get this shot of looking up at Kenneth Branagh, his head underwater, bobbing for apples, and basically him like an okapi or a giraffe trying to just like go. Try to lick up an apple to get to the stem. And I'm like, who is this for? It's gotta be somebody. And then he gets conked on the back of the head, and someone tries to waterboard him to death, which is to say drown him.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's someone in like a cloak and whatnot.
Yeah, it's very upsetting.
They do not succeed. Like, they give up rather quickly, in my opinion. I don't wish death on Poirot, but I'm like, if you're gonna commit.
Yeah, it was weird. I'm like, why'd they stop?
Who is that for?
It was very confusing.
Maybe it's part of the same thing. Maybe someone's very specific fetish is licking apples and almost drowning, and that's the only way they can finish. Maybe that's who it's. Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's the whole.
If that's
whole
you,
movie.
You can contact me via my DMs on Instagram.
I thought you were gonna say via my Venmo account.
That's even better, free, Tristan. But like, not even 30 seconds later, we hear like this scream. And then we find that Joyce has been impaled like on this statue in the courtyard.
Very brutal. Because,
and I mean, there are, spoiler, sorry for getting ahead of things a bit, but there are multiple tosses of bodies shown in this film. And I need a Mythbusters episode for these throws because they are not landing accurately. Like, it makes no physical sense.
Oh, no, not at all. No. They were
even when they show it happening, I'm like, how did y'all manipulate? Because it does not make sense. This looks so fake.
It's how is this going to look the best? Because it's a Kenneth Branagh movie.
Wait, Melissa, you're suggesting that maybe Sir Kenneth Branagh is choosing style over substance in some way?
Like Gilderoy Lockhart.
Interesting. I've never heard that about that man. I've always heard that he's very grounded and reasonable. Very and not self-indulgent at all.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
I said what I said.
Another thing that happens is that his bodyguard, Poirot's bodyguard, saves him by pulling him out of the bowl. And then he's like, who could have done this? And he goes, oh no, I'm wearing Mrs. Reynolds' costume.
Oh yeah.
And then they hear the scream because he's putting it together.
Why did he need to be pulled out?
Because he's knocked unconscious.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he got hit in the back of the head, drowned for a little bit, not enough oxygen. He passes out and then he gets pulled out. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That does make sense.
Yeah, so much for me, like, not remembering anything about this movie, apparently.
Apparently you did remember stuff.
Seared into my brain.
So then, because of course there is a very dramatic storm, and it cuts off the palazzo from everything else, and they can't travel, and then also Poirot is like, hey, no one's going anywhere until we catch the killer. And all of
you know what this means.
He's back.
And we're about to get into the investigation part of the film.
Yes. That's right. So we have lots and lots of interviews.
Starting with, like, albeit like it's 10 seconds, Oliver is the first one to be kind of questioned. And it's like 3 questions pretty much to like let the viewers essentially know that she's not actually a suspect. And like now it's time for her to be like the assistant on the case, more or less. And so as soon as she gets that position, she finds Baba that has gone missing, and she finds him behind like a stack of paintings.
And
like no one can explain it.
And this is Alicia's this is Alicia's bunny rabbit thing, right? It was in her room.
Yes. Oh, right, because they do go to Alicia's room, and that's where they find that. And then also there's a cockatiel as well.
Yeah, Harry
the cockatiel. Now he doesn't anymore. Not since she died.
Right.
And then a teacup halfway off a table.
Yes. Also, just before we leave Harry for a minute, has not spoken since Alicia's death, but when he hears Alicia's quote-unquote voice through the medium Joyce, he does say her name again for the first time.
Yes, that is true.
Kind of upping the ante in terms of like selling that this seance is real.
Mm-hmm. How do you two feel about birds?
Fine.
Well, I mean, if they were real, I would like them quite a
bit. Stay on the up and up, folks. Oh, that's so good. You feel fine about them, Melissa?
Yeah.
Okay. I love birds. I think they're fantastic. They're crazy. You ever think about how weird a bird is?
Oh, yes.
And you're like, oh, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that? Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's
Name
crazy.
something that makes sense.
We're gonna be here a long time. Yeah. No, like penguins are really cool. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
cassowaries.
What are those? Which ones?
They're
they're the murder birds that you can find where Tristan was, more or less.
No, they're not.
No, they're Australia, not New Zealand, right?
They're in Australia. There are no natural predators in New Zealand. Did you know that? There's like maybe two. There's like, I think, a falcon that's naturally occurring, but maybe that's
you left.
Yeah. Oh, zing.
Oh.
But yeah, cassowaries are like a very large bird that's like crested and will attack you, or they're very territorial. They're also endangered. So if you kill one, you still go to prison, even if they were attacking you. Yeah. It's not good. Yeah.
And they like when they set out to kill you, like nothing on earth will keep them from it.
Yeah, they're horrifying.
And they have like murderous like dinosaur claws as well. Yeah. You should look them up.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
They're fun and terrifying.
They're fun and terrifying. For me, I being in Aotearoa, there's a beautiful native bird called a tui. Tui, and it's a crazy sounding bird. A lot of people think it sounds like R2-D2. I think it sounds like another Star Wars character, which is the Geonosians from Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. Oh. And that was I would wake up constantly to the sound of a tui when I was in Auckland, and that was so lovely. I love birds. There's a lot of birds in New Zealand. There are a lot of weird birds. Obviously the kiwis, I saw a couple of those. But I love birds because they are so weird, and there's such a clear link of like, oh no, this is like when you look at a cassowary, you're like, yeah, that's a dinosaur.
Yeah, no, you're right. Birds are cool as shit. What was I thinking?
Well, I'm glad you convinced you.
Yeah.
I used to hate them.
True.
My youngest sister is terrified of them.
Yeah, I know that there are people that are very, very scared of birds. I'm only the normal amount of scared of birds.
We went to an aviary, my partner and I, in New Zealand when she visited, and she discovered that she doesn't like being around loose birds.
Loose birds.
Yes. Fair. And I'm like, okay, that is fair enough. Because there was a couple
Lock them up.
There were a couple of loose Kia, and they like flew overhead, and she was like startled in a way that she wasn't expecting either, which is interesting. But yeah, I got bit by a little cockatiel or something, because I was in an aviary growing up. There was this place in South Dakota that had a little aviary, and I got bit on the ear by like a parakeet or something, and I hated birds for a long time.
Oh, okay.
But can I tell you what birds I hate?
Yes.
Seagulls.
Oh, sure.
Oh.
Okay. You look confused, Tyler. I understand.
No, not confused. Like, I get why people wouldn't. I'm just a little sad.
Well, no, they're varmints. They're varmints. They need to go.
I like them. They're scrappy for that reason.
That's true.
They are so scary. Because
no, there's one little French fry.
No, dog. I'm gonna fight you on this. I'm sorry. I was in Nelson, and I was at a cafe, and there was a flock of seagulls, not the band. There was a flock of seagulls.
Yeah.
Probably about 20 of these little guys, and they would just wait for someone to like they would know once someone got to pulling out their chair to sit up, they would just descend. And it was horrifying to watch. And I was like, maybe Alfred Hitchcock had some points.
Yeah. I mean, in those circumstances, the Alfred Hitchcock circumstances, they would be pretty scary.
Well, y'all can flock off.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. So where were we in the plot?
We're in the investigation, and our first proper interview is Rowena, the lady of the house, the mother of the deceased.
This is another place where the connection was bad and I missed all of this. So you guys go ahead and say what she said.
I mean, essentially, it's kind of more or less what we had deduced previously. She was not happy with Maxime,
yeah,
the previously engaged guy to her daughter. That was a very weird way to put it.
Ex-fiance, yeah,
I mean, sure, if you want to put it that way.
Fiance Knowles, is that anything?
Yes. That was a bit on 30 Rock. Shout out to Tina Fey, who was also in this movie.
She is.
But Rowena was not happy, did not trust Maxim. And she recounted about how the months leading up to her death, she was plagued by these spirits, or like the spirits of the children were trying to communicate with her, is what Alicia was imparting to her mother. They wouldn't let her be, and they wanted her to be with them, which of course freaked her out. But yes, she did not try to move her daughter about that house, but we did not discuss that at all in this film.
No, we sure did not. And she she stopped singing. She only could sing when her daughter was alive, and so she hasn't sung since. She basically lived for her daughter, and sang because of her. So yeah, she's just completely stopped, and her fortune has dried up, I believe we also learned from this, or at some point along the way we do. So she doesn't have much of a fortune, but whatever money or wealth she had, she lost. So very sad mom.
Yeah, and Maxim is also essentially a gold digger. He got married like 6 months after breaking up the engagement, and like married this rich New Yorker, and like loved rubbing that in Rowena's face a little bit. Yeah, not that Rowena was very pleasant herself, to his credit.
He has a line of like, "Well, I'm a rich New Yorker, and that's the only one worth being." And I was like, "Damn, put us all on blast, I guess."
Yeah, I felt that.
But also like not wrong, because you do need like a good $200,000 salary to like live properly or without care in New York City.
That's true.
Yeah, you really do. It's
great to be back, folks.
Yeah, welcome back.
That's why I'm a Jersey boy.
Understandably. Yes. So who's the next one? I don't know if I have them in order.
It was the doctor, right?
The doctor who, okay. I didn't realize that it was the 50 Shades of Grey guy.
Was it the doctor next, or was it the housekeeper?
I think it's the housekeeper.
I think that's right.
Basically used to be a nun, and Poirot is like, you hate Satan, therefore you hate people who talk to the dead. You could have killed her? Question mark.
And after speaking to my family this week, not wrong, not Poirot. They do not like people messing with the beyond.
I think it's bad. I dare say, I think it's in bad form. Let the dead lie, says I.
Oh.
No, I want them to tell the truth.
But I mean, if they come back and start talking to you, that's one thing. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe don't try and ask them about stuff.
Yeah. Like the Ouija board, like just like trying to like grab people when they just minding their business.
I just thought of a Luigi board. It's just WA over again.
Yeah.
I swear I'm listening to both of you.
No, I know. I know. It's just your brain.
Yeah.
I did use your platypus joke in therapy, and I did credit you.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that.
You always want to get those therapy credits.
I might bring that up on stage now. It's worth it for sure.
Yeah.
I reckon. And then is there anything else with the housekeeper other than she used to be a nun?
Not really, just, I mean,
but she didn't make a
not
yet,
anyhow.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. You know, she cared for the girl.
She loved the girl. She hates that what they found out was that Alicia is like in pain. And she's like, see, this sucks. This is not a courtesy. This is in fact bad. That's also something Poirot says to Miss Reynolds before she beefs it.
Yeah, absolutely. So is it the doctor then?
Yeah,
I think so.
So this guy, okay. So I just want to mention that the mustache, you know how I'm famously anti-mustache?
I had a feeling.
Yes.
I kind of liked it on him.
You heard it here first, folks.
Here's the thing about a mustache, and I think this applies to you, Melissa, and a lot of other people.
Okay.
There's a level of hot that no matter what if someone obscures their face in some way, or it's like slightly off, it elevates the hotness, right? The classic example is like how Ryan Gosling, one of his eyes is lower than the other one. And everyone's like, bet, love it. And I think that for you, maybe in this moment, because Jamie has like just a stupidly handsome face. Like, it's like annoying. It's like, he stops looking like a person at a certain point. You're just like, yeah, what a beautiful painting of a person that's talking.
Right. Like, we get it.
Yeah. And I think the little mustache adds like oh no, he's a real person. He's not just hot. What do you think?
Like maybe there's some sort of mystery or like some flair. It's not just all like perfection or whatever. I think there's something to that. I like that theory. But like, you know, I mean, I also famously love a full beard.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The mustache is okay on him. I think maybe it's the stupid perfect face.
As the person with a mustache and a beard on this call, I don't know how I feel about this conversation.
As someone who, when I decide to grow out facial hair, it's mostly to get to a mustache. I don't know how I feel.
Well, I like beards.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people.
I liked him in high school, but
but yeah, they've done the numbers, and anthropologists say that the only reason we have beards is for aesthetic reasons.
Okay, it's not because sometimes your face gets cold?
No, it doesn't really help at all. It just like happened.
Lies.
Oh,
well.
This is my winter setup.
Okay, I say, well, mea culpa. I haven't had a beard in a while, so but yeah,
if you're listening for the first time, I am canonically bi. I just want to make that clear.
Yes, so you canonically.
Beards were not a thing. Those were real relationships.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why that's why I didn't know like how to process that. I'm like, are they beard if you're bi? Because that doesn't
It was
seem...
purely just for the joke.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it depends on whether or not you wanted to be in a relationship with him. I think you can have two straight people having a beard.
That's true.
You know?
I mean, but then was that what you call it?
I don't know.
What
Melissa.
are the rules?
I couldn't tell you the rules of bearding.
Okay.
I couldn't even begin to fathom.
I was going to say this should be your novel, but you didn't finish the first one.
I know. Don't remind me.
Well, this guy with the mustache.
Yeah,
he's a doctor, and poor guy is just all sorts of tortured.
Yeah, he's shell-shocked from accidentally hurting people in what is it, a concentration camp?
Bergen-Belsen.
And then they had to burn it down.
So basically what happened was he was there at the liberation. And so these starving people were, you know, he was trying to treat them. And first thing that happened was he gave some folks milk, and their bodies couldn't handle it, and they ended up dying. And it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with. War trauma. And so that was one thing. He was told when he got home, he was so traumatized that he shouldn't practice medicine anymore. But when he was back, he had somehow along the way met Rowena, fallen in love with her, and she wouldn't have anything to do with anyone because she was so obsessed with her daughter. But she did say, hey, can you treat my daughter while she is,
convalescing?
Yeah. And he agreed because he can't say no to this woman he loves, just wanted to be close to her. And then he couldn't help her. And then she died. So he's really quite tortured. He is the father of the precocious child who has some wonderful things. Like he's reading Poe. The child is reading Poe at one point. And
as children do. Like, that was not a big thing to me.
Yeah, no. I read Poe as a child.
Right.
And yeah. And see how I turned out.
Well, it's also a different time. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And then Poirot says, what about Dickens? And he says, Dickens is silly. Like, oh my gosh. Also, this kid, is reading a book during the party while Olga is trying to get him to come play and eat a bit of cake. And he just...
After that scene, I literally wrote, I wonder if I will ever come to like a child character in these films. The answer is no.
Okay. Well, it turns out, has kind of been taking care of his dad. Because his dad is a mess.
Yeah.
A beautiful mess.
Yeah.
Leslie is also, at the time of this interview, is handling Joyce's body. And Poirot notices some inconsistencies. Most notably, the fact that he got the time of death wrong, even though the watch broke at the exact moment that she fell. So that kind of sent him into even more of a spiral, because he's now even more doubting his abilities. And there was something else that he screwed up, but I can't remember.
Yeah, so he is just not on his game. He just is absolutely hanging by a thread as a human being. Poor guy. So that's kind of that with him.
And then next we went to the assistants, right?
Yes. Oh, he misses a head wound that Joyce had. The doctor misses a head wound, and Poirot points it out, and he's like, "Oh, yes, terribly sorry. I just missed it. Wasn't trying to ignore it, but yeah." So then, yes, we move on to Joyce's assistants, Nicholas and Desdemona, who are brother and sister. They're questioned.
Half,
right? Yes, half. They are questioned separately, of course, because it's the only way that you should do that. And they kind of
shot in that kind of sitcom-y style of them finishing the other's answer in the other room, this back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. And Nicholas is absolutely denying that they did anything wrong, and
right.
Desdemona is finally okay, yeah, we were stealing from her. What?
And is that a crime? And they're like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out, when Nicholas is introduced, he falls from the chimney. He falls from the chimney, and the assistant...
You thought Santa immediately?
I did. I thought Santa immediately, and then he is Nicholas, so that is that. But what's her name? The assistant, his sister goes Nicholas, and then Poirot goes Nicholas, like that.
like in the Care Bears movie.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, I'll say yes. I've never seen the Care Bears film.
Okay, Tyler, have you seen the Care Bears movie?
I was thinking Ricola.
I was also thinking
like that's where my mind went.
Oh, yeah.
I have seen there was only one Care Bear film, right? In like the 90s? Or were there multiple?
As far as I know, there was one. But it was the kid's name was Nicholas, and this book was possessing him, and it was whispering him, Nicholas.
Yes.
Nicholas.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember that now.
Yeah, that just blasted me straight back to years ago.
And the little cloud car.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was a kid, I assumed that heaven was like Care-a-Lot. Like everyone was kind of bouncing around on a clouds.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Can I tell you? I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And also, I think it's so indicative of my upbringing, where my parents, I was like, well, is heaven like clouds and stuff? And they're like, nah, that's just like a artist's rendering of the idea to like let you feel what it might look like, to make you feel a certain way of like peaceful, but it's probably just like a void where you're just like aware of everyone else's consciousness. And I'm like,
oh,
I mean, okay.
Yeah. But
as a child, okay.
Yeah, it's, so maybe some people achieve precocity, some have precocity thrust upon them.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Branagh is a pretty good actor. I don't know if you know this. He unfortunately is really good in this movie. I think he's very funny. That Nicholas made me laugh. There's another moment that we'll get to. I think we probably have already passed, where there's a secret garden up top on the roof. And he goes, "Oh, let us enjoy the secret garden," because Ariadne is just like, it's wet out. Can we come back inside? He's like, "Come on, live a little. Nay, live moss."
Yeah, that is what he says.
And then we go back to the clock.
Yep.
Yep.
And then there's another really good line. Sorry, that I wanted to highlight, that that Olga says, that she goes, what's the lady of the house's name?
Rowena.
Rowena owns the property, but the spirits possess it. And I'm like, that's a really good line.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Like a foreclosed house.
Like a forkload house. Just beep, 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 bring it up, move it on out.
Oh, so I wanted to mention that when Poirot says, "Hey, nobody can leave," Rowena is like, "I have never stayed a night in this house, and I never intend to." And I have been listening to a podcast that has to do with ghosts. Mm-hmm. And there's like this lighthouse where there's people that are like, "No, we know this is haunted, and we never want to stay the night because that would just be a bridge too far." So that's a real thing in haunted house. That's a real thing in haunted houses. People don't want to sleep there, it turns out.
It turns out. Here's an impression of someone from the 1800s in Maine trying stand-up comedy.
Okay.
We talk about lighthouses a lot, but we never talk about dark houses. That's it.
Okay. Good.
Stand-up comedy was not good back then. sorry. I thought I'd let you discover that as part of the narrative.
Oh, yeah.
But,
No, right. And
I didn't want to preface it.
It just adds to the lore.
It adds to the lore of Maine.
Of Maine. Yeah.
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 Well, speaking of Maine, though, I wouldn't mind revisiting Cabot Cove in the future. But I digress.
A little tease for everybody there.
Oh, yeah. You can go to Patreon. There's still like 5-10 episodes that we have not released of us talking about Murder, She Wrote. If you want to listen to those, give us $1.
But next is... sorry, go ahead.
It's okay.
I was just going to say our dear departed Angela Lansbury. Okay, please continue.
Oh, right. I forgot she had died. Also, remember in 2020 where we were recording like 5 of these a week?
Yes.
Remember how we all went insane? We recorded 5 of these a week.
Yeah, well, we went insane in so many ways.
Well, some of us stayed insane, like yours truly. So.
True.
Yeah. No, I'm still there too.
It was it's one of those things. I fully realized, because even before the pandemic hit, I was like, what am I getting out of podcasting, doing stand-up? And then like 2 weeks in, I'm like, I am going insane. I have too much energy as a person. I am going nuts.
Need to do something.
Anyhow, who's next?
Maxim.
Who
we forgot to mention, was not initially invited. Well, not invited by Rowena.
Oh yeah.
Right. No, she does not want him there. Yeah. But we do when Desdemona tries to make a break for it. And
yes.
Then they pursue them and they tie them up to chairs back to back in a room.
Indiana Jones style, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, when they talk about how they want to go to St. Louis because they saw half of Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yeah, they want to go to Missouri.
It was like this very sad story about how like they only had access to this half of the film, and they thought if they could get there, their lives would be happy. So they're just trying to get to Missouri.
Which I have a question. I've never seen Meet Me in St. Louis.
I have not either.
Tyler?
I have not, because I have always conflated that with St. Louis Woman, which is a far blacker thing that they would not have watched.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay. So there's a joke, I assume. It's a joke in when they discover this, because they go, we don't know how it ends. And Tina Fey is like, yeah, it ends happily. I'm like, is that true? I have no idea. I assume not.
Probably. It's a Judy Garland musical comedy in the 40s.
I think it does.
Okay.
I think it actually does.
Okay. Interesting.
But yes.
Then
maybe we'll watch that next. Just kidding.
Oh, speaking of things we're going to watch next, I have a question. Tyler, you've seen this film. Would you consider Ladies' Man a mystery? Can we shoehorn?
Oh my God.
Somehow.
But yes, we can. that is indeed a mystery.
It is.
Good grief. I apologize in advance to Melissa, but I also really wanted Melissa's thoughts on this film.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Is this? Oh.
It's based on an SNL skit from the 2000s with Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows.
If you remember the Ladies' Man sketch.
Okay. I see. I immediately Googled it.
Oh, okay.
Is the funniest man to ever live, in my opinion. He's so good all the time.
I'm more of a Tommy Davidson guy, but like I do love Tim Meadows.
He's so funny. Okay. Also, did you talk about? I took a little break. Did you talk about him talking to the kid?
Who talking to the kid?
Poirot.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember. It's all a jump.
Because he's at the end because of the bathroom business.
The bathroom business. So then Maxime is next. Yes, Maxime is next.
Yes. And he's kind of a prick. This man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to rely on y'all because I got real bored of him real quick. So I do not remember very much of this.
Melissa, I'm really hoping that he angered you enough that you remember what he said.
Oh yeah, I do. So the first time we met him, I was like, absolutely screw this guy. Yeah. What a jerk. I hate him so much.
Upon his entrance, I wrote, "The gold digger better die."
There you go. So he cuts his finger, and Ariadne tells him that honey is a remedy for that. And I'm curious if that's true. So like a natural antiseptic or something. And so he puts,
I don't think it's a good use, but it was a use.
Okay. So he puts some honey on on it, and he's like, oh, not wildflower honey. Okay. Like, what kind of honey is this? Weird.
I can't quite place it.
Yeah. So then as he's talking to Poirot, it comes out that, yes, he initially broke off the engagement, but he was really driven to do so because his her mom, Alicia's mom, Rowena, was kind of losing it and saying, like, you can't marry her, you can't take her away from me, blah, 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 blah. And so he was like, okay, I cannot deal with this person's mother. And so he actually tried to come back, but she wouldn't have it. She wouldn't let him see her. Said she was way too upset. He had hurt her way too much. Wouldn't let her see her. And then by the time, he finally was able to come around, she was being put in the ground. So that's the story. Makes him slightly less of an ass, but he's still an ass.
And now we see Poirot taking a break in the bathroom to kind of get his thoughts and head together. Tries to turn the faucet. Nothing comes out. Things are like kind of rattling. And then in the mirror, he believes he sees for a split second Alicia. Turns around, touches the wall. Oh, that was it?
Yeah, that was one of 2 other ones, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a classic jump scare. You see someone in the mirror you're not expecting.
I didn't jump.
I mean, that just happens in life. I guess
yeah, all the time.
I mean, people are usually there, but like sometimes like,
the word usually is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
I look down and then I look back up and I was like, oh, you announce yourself next time you come behind me in the bath. Okay, that's
getting off of this train.
Oh, one of us is. So
oh,
but yeah, so the faucet ain't working, and then it starts working after she shows up, and then he opens the door, and that little creep Leopold is there.
That creepy ass child.
He's kind of a sweet kid.
Yeah.
I agree to disagree.
But he's still a creep. You can be sweet and a creep.
That is also true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Happens all the time. Where people are like, I don't like the look of you, but you are objectively kind.
I guess so.
But he's also got that precocity that comes with, like, I don't know, he's just got bad vibes. I think they cast the kid really well because he walks a fine line where 1 out of 3 people is like, oh no, that kid was fine. Normal kid.
Yeah, I don't think he was miscast.
I don't think he was a normal kid by any means. Okay. But, I think he was doing the best with what he had.
Yeah. I mean, it's always unsettling because, like, there's precocious children who are just, like, comfortable with adults. And then in this guy's case, he's precocious because of the fact that he has to take care of his father. And that reads worse. So much worse. And it makes you sad for the kid. And it makes you sad for the parent and sad for everybody involved. But it also makes him, the kid feels like he's playing a dad in a movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just like he's like, oh, I like reading instead of talking to other kids my age. It's like he's reading by the fireplace because that's what an adult, like a papa does, at a holiday gathering,
Yeah. Yes, no, that makes sense. But Poirot talks to him and he says that he hears the voices of the spirits. BTW, Poirot has been hearing a voice of a child singing ever since he almost drowned in the apple bobbing thing.
Yeah, don't bob for apples unless you want to hear a child's voice for the rest of your life.
Apple bobbing, boots with the fur.
Yeah.
And the kid is quite precocious. He goes, "Am I on your list?" He goes, "Everyone's on my list." And he goes, "Well, my dad and I were here at midnight, so couldn't have been there." And blah 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 blah. And he's like trying to help him out. And he goes, "He's really not a bad person. He's
shifty.
the war. He's just from the wars. He's got a shell shock, hasn't he?" That's exactly what he sounds like.
It's not at all what he sounds like.
He might as well have sounded like that to me.
Then they just decide to go in the basement? Is that what happens?
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, I know we go to the basement, but like, I don't remember how or why we got there.
Huge banging down there. Huge.
Oh, there's some banging down.
And then
I thought the teenagers had left.
What? The teenager?
Oh yeah.
Come now, Tyler. Behave. Ooh, behave.
You brought up the horniness before. I'm just finishing your joke.
But these massive sounds are coming from the basement, and the lady of the house, whose name escapes me because it's crazy sounding.
Rowena.
Rowena is not a name. I'm sorry.
Now I'm naming my daughter that just to spite you.
You know what? And I will be looking forward to calling her Slugger her whole life.
I appreciate that.
Rowena is like, there's no basement. And then Poirot goes to the end of a hallway, kicks down a door, and he's like, voila, basement. And he goes down there, and there's some creepy graffiti, and it's just like, the basement isn't a basement per se. It's flooded.
I'm sorry, but like, more than that, like, there's the skeleton of dead children.
Yes.
Like, we cannot gloss over that.
And bees. Candyman was there.
It's really, really upsetting.
Yeah, a pile of also like stuffed animals, rats are everywhere. It's flooded. The basement's flooded. It's like terrible. And
truly, yeah. If any place is haunted, it is definitely this house.
Yeah, and Poirot's bodyguard goes, "Yeah, it turns out the stories are true. Who'da thunk?"
Yeah, it's
and
bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
And then, you know, Maxim is being Maxim, so Leslie tries to kill him after suffering a panic attack.
Yeah, because he's having a panic attack, and then Maxim's like, "Not now, not in front of your boy." And then they start to throw down. And it's really interesting as well, because the rest of the group are just the kid, and then the rest of the people are women, all of whom cannot like control these two men fighting. And I was like, that must be so scary.
Yeah.
Have people be fighting and you can't stop them.
Yeah.
I've never been in that situation, but it sounds terrifying.
But the kid, Leo, is able to talk to his dad and kind of like, you know, get him to focus on him.
Yeah.
And talks him out of the fight, which was pretty impressive.
After Mustache Man busts the American's head through a glass window pane and is about to use the shattered glass to slit the guy's throat. He's like,
that's why I said the kid stopped him too soon.
And yeah, it's incredible. And it's this very sad, sort of perplexing moment where Leopold is like, focus on me, focus up. I'm here. Yeah. Very sad. And then
locks him in a room
after taking a sedative. And I'm like, man, living my best life.
And I guess there's a fine line between sad and irritating.
So Rowena gives Poirot the only key to that room that Maxime is in. Okay.
Which then made me write down, Mama a little shifty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parentheses, locking.
With the doctor, yeah.
Oh, I was like, what did I say? It was homeboy. Locking homeboy.
So we got
homeboy, of course, means Leslie.
Yeah.
Yes, Leslie.
We have homeboy. We have kid. We have Slugger. Poirot. Tina Fey.
And the siblings.
And Olga, whose name we all remember.
Yeah. So, yes.
You know, it's funny. Like in most of the things I watch, like usually like the housekeeper's name is like forgotten by like the characters and the thing, but it's usually the one name I can remember.
Oh,
because you're courteous.
yeah.
There's a
That's
banger of a
nice.
line too where he goes where Ariadne goes, well, why is the help always under suspicion? What's going on? You know, what do they have against these people? He goes, a lot of things, primarily being referred to as the help.
Boom.
I want to get into that a little bit once we're through with the plot, but we're rounding the corner, right? We must.
Yeah. Locked in, and okay. The next, I don't remember exactly how. Perhaps y'all can help me get there, but I know next Poirot confronts Ariadne and Vitaly.
Yeah, I don't remember how they got
I don't know what spurs it, but I know that's the next thing.
Yeah, what does he? It's something to do with apple.
Yes,
apples, because he looks at the card that not homeboy, the American gets, and it does an anagram, and he sees apple.
Oh yeah, so
yes, and because that when Vitaly first tells Poirot that Ariadne is there visiting, she like gives an apple to him, and like he then's like, do you know this woman with the apples, or something along those lines?
Yeah. And he says, okay, fine, I'll see her, because he won't see anybody. But
much like Eve tempting Adam in the garden.
Yeah.
We do get a cuckoo clock at a point that has the Adam and Eve apple moment.
A lot of apples in this movie.
So many apples.
I love an apple. What's your favorite kind of apple?
Fiji.
Good choice.
Is it Fuji? Is it Fuji or Fiji?
Fuji.
I think it's Fuji, yeah. Gosh, there's a lot of good ones. I don't know what my absolute favorite is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Some Honeycrisp are good, but also I just really like a Macintosh too.
Oh.
It's not a Red Delicious, at least.
That's true.
Oh, Lord.
My grandmother loved Red Delicious apples, and between
they're
that,
just getting worse. Like they're so like oblong now.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Like it looks nothing natural about them these days.
My grandmother had such good taste, except for Red Delicious apples and iceberg lettuce.
Iceberg rips. I'm sorry.
There's just nothing to it.
Yeah, I love to feel nothing when I'm eating.
Oh, that's not how you eat.
Yeah.
That's how I eat. I'll give you a Macintosh is certainly better than a Red Delicious.
Yes.
I love a Fuji. I love a Sweet Tango. They have these in New Zealand. They have these massive Sweet Tango apples, and I was like, these are incredible apples. Oh, amazing! And then I go home to Minnesota for a couple months, and I then find out that they're from Minnesota. That's where we grew them. They were first grown. So it's like the whole time I'm like, oh, amazing. New Zealand has these incredible apples.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Very silly. But yeah, like a Fuji with some like sharp cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm more of like an apple peanut butter guy. I'll have to try that with the cheese. I've done that with like pie, but not like with a slice of apple.
Yeah.
It's real good. I love apples peanut butter. Great snack.
Yep, it is a good snack.
If I'm doing apples and honey, it has to be a green apple for me. I need it to be something tartar to offset the sweetness of the honey.
Okay, I accept. Yeah, they have those like little boxes, like the little boxes at Starbucks where they give you some apple slices. They also give you cheese. I always put those together.
Yeah. Such good. I mean, yeah, monks knew what they were doing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that monks did that. I don't know much about monks.
Well, it's a jungle out there. Disorder, confusion everywhere.
OCD.
No woods.
We're getting a monk movie, and I'm so excited for it.
Oh,
who's in charge here? Yeah, I'm excited about it too. We are getting a monk movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I haven't seen the series at all.
Interesting.
I know. I know. It's one of those things that you'd be like,
y'all better
Melissa would like
subscribe to
that.
Patreon.
That's the thing. I remember
maybe.
We had a conversation about a year ago, like, well, what do we do because we're almost done with the David Suchet Poirot, and then you just start listing murder mysteries. I'm like, oh, right, this is such a very popular form of media, isn't it?
We will never run out of material.
Nah. Alfred Molina's series, the detective series that got released last year, is really good. Highly recommend it. Can't remember what it's called, like 3 Points, something like that.
Okay.
There's also Canada. The John Malkovich ABC murder.
There is. I don't know if I want to see John Malkovich try.
I watched it because I didn't think we were going to cover it.
Was it any good?
I mean, it wasn't, but it wasn't bad. It was fine.
Okay.
It was a passable. I would watch it again on a rainy day if I was,
needed something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to see.
It's all, it's on the level of Detective Pikachu for me.
Got it. Okay. I love that there is a Detective Pikachu level.
So
we still have a murder.
Poirot,
oh my God,
confronts Ariadne Oliver and his bodyguard, conspiring to try and get him to come to the seance so that he can be bested by this lady, so that Ariadne can sell a book she's writing on the clout of the lady that stumped Poirot. And then the bodyguard gets a cut, and then obviously the medium, she gets critical acclaim.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This was wild to me. Now, really? I have not read this book, but we have seen a bunch of, Poirot episodes with Ariadne Oliver. Mm-hmm. And Poirot...
Played brilliantly by Zoe Wanamaker.
Yes. And they were always such good buds that it broke my heart to see Ariadne Oliver betray him. I did not like it. I didn't like that at all. That upset me greatly. Mm-hmm. So I guess I do need to know what happens in the book. I assume that that's what happens in the book, but really?
Well, I don't know, because this is based on a short, so I think they took liberties.
I think they took a lot of liberties.
But I don't know how much liberty was taken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's based off of kind of an obscure short. And they because I think they quite rightly were we did the two big ones, the two everyone knows.
Yeah.
Now that Death in the Nile was such a big flop, let's do a small one. But yeah, with that turn, I don't want to say I saw it coming, but I was like, my immediate thought was why are you ruling her out? She brought you here. Kind of I don't know. I was it made a lot of sense to me. Also, it's interesting because I was trying to find whether or not I like Tina Fey's performance in this thing.
Okay.
She is baffling to me in this movie.
Agreed. Okay. I also didn't understand where she was supposed to be from.
What?
In the context of this film.
Yes.
Because the voice was,
She has that transatlantic accent for some reason. But I'll say this about it. She seems to be really putting on a character up until this point. And then once they have this confrontation, she seems like a normal person.
Yeah. Okay.
And so maybe diegetically she's doing a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it reads well. And I also am kind of that's happened a couple of times. Where I've watched a film or a TV show, there's an episode of no, I won't talk about that as an example. In Hateful Eight, is it Eli Roth? He's doing a very proper British accent. And I'm he sounds terrible, but it turns out the character is lying. And I really have a hard time when actors make the character, make you realize that the character is lying before that reveal is meant to happen.
Okay. Is that the actor or the director, though?
It's both, I feel like, at a certain point. I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't like that choice.
Sure.
From the creative team.
That's fair.
So, but I don't know. She didn't go far enough for that to feel like it was the choice.
I see what you're saying.
It's baffling. Yeah. Again, it's a confusing performance. It's not necessarily bad, but it is confusing.
Yeah, and I agree with you there.
Her casting in general was very confusing to me. Because I had a moment where I was watching it, and I'm she's got to be offer only. So Branagh went, I want Tina Fey to be in this movie. And I'm why?
Yeah.
I actually, when I heard that she was playing her, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. No, it made sense to me. It like, yeah, I don't know. There's something about like witty, sharp, quick.
Yeah.
It read to me, like, from what I know about Ariadne Oliver's character. It just made sense. But yeah, I hear what you're saying about the performance, though.
Yeah. But she's been betraying him, but then there's the murder, right?
Right, because
yes, he's confronting them, and then Desdemona rushes in saying, "We need the key. Something's happened," and then they all rush off to the music room.
Right, because in this accusation that Poirot makes, he's like, "You did all of this fraud to me, and then you murdered her," and they're like, "We did not murder her."
Yeah.
And then Desdemona comes rushing in with the key.
Yes. And then they open the door, and homeboy has been stabbed in the back with a big old...
And here is where I did feel a modicum of sympathy for the child.
Okay.
You have all these ding-dang adults up in this room. No one thinks to cover the child's eyes to block him from seeing his father's bloody corpse on the floor. No one.
Yeah.
I had that same thought. Yeah. I also had a thought of like beautifully composed shot, though, of like the camera drifts from Poirot, shifts focus to all the people watching, and then lands on the kid.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. But yeah, you're 100% correct, Tyler. I was like, damn, that's cold-blooded.
Yeah.
And now there's no one to do an autopsy because the doctor's dead. What are we to do?
Yeah.
All about him.
Oh no.
Oh boy. Then what happens? Do we get to the reveal? Some other stuff happens, right?
Yes. No.
We do.
Right? Is there? I thought we go to the parlor.
We do. We go to the parlor.
The courtyard.
Yeah. The flooded courtyard.
Yeah, Poirot has put it together, and he realizes that the only person that could have done this was, in fact, Alicia's mother, Rowena.
Bum, bum, bum.
She was slowly dosing her with this hallucinogenic honey. And
from rhododendrons, a flower grown in Turkey.
Yes. And it weakens her, makes her more like a child so that she can care for her. Very mommy, dad, and dearest. Very Dee Dee Blanchard vibes, making your kids sick. It's called Munchausen's by proxy, where you make your child sick to basically get sympathy. And sometimes money as well, which is what happened with Dee Dee Blanchard. But yes, so she kept giving her this poison honey. She kept getting sicker and sicker. And then one night she like went out of town or something, or wasn't there. And then she ended up getting too much.
Yes. So the honey is a poison. It also causes hallucinations.
Yeah.
And Poirot had consumed some earlier, unbeknownst to him. But what had happened was Olga had convinced Rowena to take a night off, basically. And then she basically overdosed on the poison honey because Olga did not know what was up. And then she died. And then when Marina came back, she goes, oh, no, she's dead. So let me frame it and make it look like a suicide, scraping up her back to look like it fits the curse of the house. Just yeet her off the balcony into the water. And then, of course, she gets a couple weeks later, she gets blackmailed. Someone's like, I know you've been poisoning. Well, during that time, she was getting blackmailed. And then so she calls this medium who she thinks is blackmailing her because she had specifics about it. Her two suspects were the doctor and the medium.
No, the medium called her.
Yeah.
I do remember that bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the medium calls her up and is like, I know about your daughter. It's this and this, and that and that. And she's like, oh, you know my daughter too well. Therefore, you must be the one that's blackmailing me.
Right.
And then the other suspect is the doctor, who, of course, was like helping her take care of Alicia. And so she eliminates both of those people, forcing Homeboy to stab himself in the back, which is, grim.
Yeah, because he was locked in that room, so no one could have gotten in, right?
Yeah.
But she was able to use an internal phone line that was still working and said, listen, unless you want me to kill your son, this is what you have to do. You have to stab yourself in the back. And he's like, okay, I guess that's what I got to do. It's very upsetting.
Deeply.
Yeah.
So then there's a confrontation with her. Everyone's like, oh no. And then she runs inside the house, locking everyone in the veranda. And then Poirot chases her up some stairs, and she either falls or is grabbed by a ghost and yeeted off that same balcony.
Yeah, Slugger was slugged off the roof by a ghost.
Woo! Yep. And she falls.
And presumably drowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think she probably also hit her head.
Broke her neck. Fall like that.
I mean, yeah.
It was not a good fall. Not a good fall situation. Very high height. Lots of stuff to fall on. Bad.
Yeah, how she remained unimpaled.
It's a different balcony.
I know that, but like the bits of wood that were sticking out in the water where she fell,
yeah. Also, when you fall from a great height, often you die before you hit the ground because your body contorts. Then you can break yourself just in the air.
Huh.
Yeah, isn't that pleasant?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, because I always imagined it being a really harsh end for people.
Yeah,
the impact, but not that they suffer too much longer. But I always imagined that there was some unpleasantness.
Yeah. No, I think from a height that great, she might have died before she hit the water.
Yeah.
So, anyway, 3 dead bodies after the storm go on the back of the police boat because we're in Venice, I might remind you.
Yeah, we have still not met the man responsible for 2 of the 3.
Oh, boy.
So as dawn breaks, Poirot parts with Ariadne, and Vitaly is like, can I at least escort you home before you turn me in for fraud? And Poirot's like, you're good. I don't like this, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone and never talk to me again, please.
Yeah.
And then we find out that it was all Leopold's fault.
Yes.
He was the blackmailer.
Yes.
So he caused his father's death and the death of this medium who he did not know.
Yes.
And he feels really bad about it.
As he kind of should. He should indeed. But in doing, he has the money from the blackmail, and Poirot suggests of doing a good deed by helping the 2 Hungarian kids off to Missouri, which is that's a fate worse than death.
For real, I mean, that brown boy don't know what he's getting into in Missouri in 1947. Get out of here. They want separate. He's not going to see his sister. They're going to be segregated.
My God, that's true.
It does not make sense.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be good for those 2. I would say,
for those who have not seen the film yet and or only hearing us talk about it, she is white and he is of another nationality. They are half siblings.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think about the boy doing it?
I mean, plausible to me. Children of the worst.
The blackmail?
Yeah, the blackmail.
he was just trying to get money because his dad couldn't work and he needed to pay his bills. I feel bad for him. He thought it was the only way to do it. Like, he didn't have proper supervision. His brain is not fully formed yet. It seemed like a good idea.
You're a great defense lawyer.
Okay, so I love that I asked this question, and I think I'm going to get a certain kind of response from you guys. And I love that it just speaks to both of you as who you are as people, because Tyler was like, ethically, it's what it is. Kids suck. You know, that's my whole ethos is kids are bad, and it confirms my bias. Great, cool. Melissa's like, oh, I really feel for the character. I'm putting myself in the character's shoes. What I meant was, what did you think about that twist, narratively speaking?
Oh, I thought that was a great twist. I thought that was really
it's an ending, that I appreciate, but would have pissed me off upon reading, because I'm someone who likes to, like, solve.
Oh, okay.
And I would not have thought that they would have had a child.
Okay.
Interesting, because the minute he goes, you know, when they have the conversation about the list, I'm like, oh, the kid's involved somehow. I was like, I'm like, also,
I didn't think he was involved. I just thought he knew more.
Sure. I definitely also have this thing that I go, wouldn't it be funny if, a lot of the time, or wouldn't it be interesting if, and then a lot of the times that happens to be the twist. If it's a lot of the time, but it's not from it makes sense logically, like I don't solve it. I'm like, narratively, it'd be more interesting if it was Ariadne and the kid. Whereas the mom stuff, I was like, okay, that all makes sense once we got to the reveal. I'm like, yeah, that absolutely tracks. I see. Well done. I'm putting it together as he's saying it. But those two things, I was like, that I bet is gonna happen. And I'm glad it did, because I like the idea of a precocious Angus MacDonald type being morally reprehensible.
I don't think he's morally reprehensible.
Okay, let me say he's amoral. He's too young to have morals yet.
Okay.
Which is a whole discussion. Anyway.
Yeah, let's not get into it. Let's not get into it.
And then it ends with Poirot back on his roof, letting people give him cases again. He's back, baby.
Yeah, he walks into his door and wildly does not close his front door.
Insane.
Yeah. It bothered me so much.
Yeah.
All right. I know we have... Go ahead.
He does talk to Ariadne before that, and it does not seem like they are ever getting back together.
No. No.
I get that now, because I went to the
Eras?
Taylor Swift, the Eras, the movie, the tour, whatever it goes.
The movie, the tour.
Oh, yeah. I still haven't seen it, but I have let some Swifties into my life, so it's kind of...
Yeah, well, it was not for me, but I respect her a lot.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know really anything going in. And I'm glad I didn't, because it was like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
She performs like every ding dang song.
She do.
And like, I was like an hour in, I was like, this is so much fun. And I was like, oh, I have 2 more hours of this.
Okay. Yeah, no. She's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah.
And
Very
people make fun,
so.
but like, you know what? She knows what she's doing, and she's doing a pretty good job of it. A very good job of it. But yes, so that is the movie. We reviewed a movie.
Yes, we did.
Let's actually review it.
Yes. I want to talk about this film in terms of, like, you know how there's Reconstructionist Westerns. Did you know about that genre of film? Like,
no. I would be able to speak.
Okay. Basically, it's Westerns that are like actually looking at the mythology of the West and breaking it down, of like, oh, these were not good people. Like that kind of stuff. It kind of feels like Branagh is doing that with these murder mysteries, because he makes a point of, in all 3 of these, kind of pointing out class inequality, racism, all of this stuff. And so I do appreciate these films looking at this time period, probably not as harshly as it was, but certainly more harshly than like the Suchet version is.
Yeah.
And I appreciate these films as like a case study of that. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I wanted to
I disagree. I think he goes about it very lazily.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Like there's a moment, we talked about that moment at the end with the one sibling, Nicholas. But there's also a moment early on where he makes a remark about your kind to Joyce Reynolds, who is played by an Asian woman. And like there's no acknowledgement of like what the your kind meant.
Right. I mean, I surmised what he meant was mediums. But,
right. Like and I got that too, but like you can't go there without going there.
That's fair. That is fair. He is lazy about it. That's absolutely true. He makes some effort, but is it a good
and like
effort?
I'm not saying like he shouldn't make an effort or like the effort is bad, but like it's not. If you're going to go there, I feel like you need to like really do your due diligence. Like I'll take it because it is, to Tristan's point, like far better than what we typically get, but it's still not good enough for me.
Okay. Absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah. I can absolutely see your point. I think it is interesting that he is, I mean, it's got to be tricky in that situation as well, where like he has to kind of take a half measure because he's trying to still make money, which sucks that that's the case, just from a box office standpoint, which is annoying.
I mean,
I would rather you just not do it at that point.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Yeah. So what did you all think of this guy?
What do we do?
Mustaches
out of again, or yeah.
Oh, are we doing?
We do 10. We do 10 for a film, 5 for a TV show, and then I think pass or fail on books. And I don't think we're ever going to do a book again because that's just too much of a freaking headache.
We'll see.
We will see.
I don't know.
I would be open to like a graphic novel or something again.
Oh yeah, when we did Gabe Dunn's graphic novel, that was quite fun.
Yeah,
bury the lead.
Yeah,
that was cool.
For mustaches.
Okay.
Like I didn't hate it, but I will never watch or think about this movie again. Like as soon as they killed off Michelle Yeoh, I was like, well, the movie sucks now. And I was right, in my opinion. Like the quality just deteriorated because like she was crushing it, and I felt like everyone's like, all right, we're here and we have lines.
Okay. I'm gonna give it 7. This is my favorite out of the Kenneth Branagh Poirot's. I thought it was really interesting. I love a ghost story. I love an Italy. So
you do love an Italy.
I do love an Italy. No, but I love a ghost story. I thought I don't know. I thought it was pretty decent. Like it's not, the most profound movie of all time or the most, perfectly executed movie, certainly. But I thought it was really fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, I'd probably give it so much as an 8, to be honest. But I'm feeling generous. And I think it's mostly because it is certainly, in my opinion, is the best out of the 3. Certainly better than Death on the Nile. I haven't seen Murder on the Orient Express in a very long time. And I think one of the things and I mean this with respect to all the players involved, I think the story is enhanced by not having so many freaking famous people in it. And I think that really helps this movie because you're not distracted by persona at any point. Because even, someone like Tina Fey is turning out a performance that's not just like, she's not Liz Lemon. She's not doing that. She's doing a bit of acting. Branagh, I would say, again, I think the main issue I have with these films is that he directs them. I think if he got a different director, I think these would be really good movies. He's really good as Poirot. I think he does a phenomenal performance. He's very warm and funny and charming.
I know, very controversial opinion there, but I actually think he does a good job too.
Yeah, no, he's really good in these. I think it's just a different interpretation. I think he plays into different parts of the character, but I think he does a really good job. I think Michelle Yeoh is quite good and well utilized as well. And I think I see what you're saying, Tyler. I love it when a movie is like, this famous person that you love dead so quickly. It's one of my favorite things a movie can do. Like when like there's like one of the Alien movies has James Franco in it, but only as a photograph of a character's dead husband.
That's funny.
And he was doing press for that movie. And that's so hysterical. Funny to me.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, stuff like that is like, I think, really fun. And I thought she was going to be like, throughout the film, I thought she was going to be like the big bad, obviously, from the trailers and everything.
Yeah.
I do think aesthetically, it's unfortunately, kind of the weakest in some ways in terms of like costume design, just because it's so like bleak. I love the way Orient Express looks, particularly. But I would say I love all the thematic and iconographic elements to it, like the birds and the apples and all of this stuff. I thought was quite fun. Will I watch it again? It's also the thing of like, it's probably the one I'm most likely to rewatch.
Same.
But I've also seen Orient Express twice.
I've seen it at least twice.
And I've seen Death on the Nile once. Heaven help me.
Heaven help us all.
Heaven help us all. I think I did rewatch it because we saw it when we like Tristan and I saw it together, and then I think I saw it again before we recorded. I think I watched it again. It was, and I was just like, "This is the worst." I actually ended up watching Murder on the Orient Express again shortly after that, or shortly before we recorded. Who's to say?
Because of the podcast,
I went on another podcast and talked about Murder on the Orient Express, and it was really interesting to hear what other people had to say about it that aren't like steeped in. I mean, certainly we're not like the most diehard Poirot people, but we have seen and consumed a lot of Poirot stuff.
This is true.
And to like the normies, they it seems like they're more enjoyable films.
Yeah. I think so, because they like are modern movies, as much as I love the BBC series, is it's like setting a tone that was set in the 80s.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. But that means you've watched it at least 3 times, because we did that live stream in 2020.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
But I do think this film really does, because that was the thing when watching Death on the Nile, I'm like, how bigger can he get than that movie?
How bigger can he get?
Yeah, how much,
Death in the clouds, baby.
Oh my God.
The bee.
Spoilers for Death in the Clouds.
He's in the trap.
The bee. But I like that his response was to go smaller, but they're saying that this is probably the last one, because its return wasn't great box office wise, and it was not critically well received. We'll see.
Are we? Have we been released?
Yeah,
the thrall.
No more action Poirot.
Yeah, no.
As he's been deemed on Facebook groups.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Real quick before we wrap up, I did think that these opening shots of Venice in this film were quite striking. Mostly because it's wild how New York City and Hoboken will be that in 20 years.
Oh gosh, you love to go out.
You're not wrong. Number 1, you're not wrong. Number 2, I got news for you, Tyler. A lot of places are going to be that in the next couple of years. I was in Auckland.
But I don't live there.
That's true. I landed when I got to New Zealand. There was flooding in Auckland really badly the week before. 1 week off. The next week, a cyclone. It is crazy. There's going to be a lot of, it's getting out of hand. There's just going to be a bit of weather for the rest of our lives. It's fascinating. Anyway.
And aren't you glad you came and listened to our comedy podcast?
Oh, is that what we're doing? Is that it? Yeah, I was going to say, is this a comedy podcast?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Sarcasm. I'm capable of it. I know I'm such a good actor, Melissa.
I know. Yeah, no, it's true. Yes. So we don't know what we're doing next time.
We don't. We'll
but there will be a next time.
Yeah.
And it won't be 2 years from now.
We'll see.
No. Don't count your chickens for that.
Yeah, don't count your chickens. No, maybe Brenna will have heard this and go, well, I need to get them back one more time.
Well, we have a couple of seasons of television.
It's a shame we didn't do this during the strike. Maybe we could have had him on.
Well, no, because he couldn't have.
He wouldn't have been able to talk about it.
Wouldn't have been able to talk about it. That was the other thing. It's like we wouldn't have been able to talk. I mean, I'm not.
Well, you might not have been able to. I would have.
Fair enough. I'm not in the union, but I want to be someday. And they were pretty. If you want to be the union, you gotta abide by these rules during the strike. So, anyhow.
But we're back. The strike is over, and we will see you next time.
For now, the strike is over. For now, they still have to vote on that thing. It's probably gonna. I'm feeling pretty pessimistic about the deal. But anyway, thank you for listening.
Well, you're back at the table in 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Back at the table in 3 years. We should also mention other things we do.
Sure. Okay.
We have a Patreon, patreon.com/ADCpod.
Yeah. Yes. Follow us on Instagram, and I will revive that too at ADCpod.
Clear. I also have another podcast called Focus Testing, where I improvise a plot of a film with a guest. It's very fun. You should go check it out if you happen to think I'm funny. I've had the privilege of having quite some very funny people on, including Tim Batt from Worst Idea of All Time, David Correas, who's another very funny New Zealand comedian, and Gabe Dunn, whose book we reviewed and is very funny himself. So check that out as well. I'm sure there will be links to all of our socials in the description below.
Sounds good.
And with that, I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to a close.
Gavel sound.
Perfect. No notes.